Welcome back, boils and ghouls. Today we've got a classic Tales from the Crypt about beauty, money, and of course, murder. Only Sin Deep stars Back to the Future's Lea Thompson as a woman who will do just about anything she can to become rich. Directed by her husband, Howard Deutsch, the man behind movies like The Great Outdoors and Pretty in Pink, and written by Fred Decker, writer and director of classic films like Night of the Creeps and The Monster Squad. The episode begins with Lea Thompson as a prostitute named Sylvia Vane. A little on the nose for someone who's obsessed with her looks, don't you think? She's a prostitute who a local pimp tries adding to his stable of hoes, but I don't think she's all that interested.
I'm gonna say this once. You touch me again, I'll shoot your tip off.
Well, that's not very ladylike. Also, it's a good thing she has her looks, because that thick New Yorker accent isn't doing her any favors. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest one of all? Oh! Montel Williams here seems a little upset that she turned him down. It doesn't matter because Sylvia has her eyes on someone else with a lot more money and probably less STDs. Sylvia is willing to do anything she can to get inside this exclusive joint so she can meet this rich guy, and that anything includes flirting with Pimp Daddy. He knows you never get high off your own supply, right? Turns out what she wants isn't someone to smack her around and take her money, but instead she wants his jewelry. Damn, I guess Big Daddy Kane was right. Pimpin' ain't easy. Sylvia takes the jewelry to a pawn shop, claiming she got it from a friend whose head was run over by a truck. Imagine your friend dies and the first thing you can think of is to sell their stuff to a pawn shop.
You bastard, you son!
Alright, relax. We all know pawn shops are a huge scam. Anyways, this must be one of those fantasy pawn shops because he refuses to buy her jewelry, claiming he knows it's stolen. In what world would a pawn shop not at least offer her $5 and a stick of gum? Before she can leave, the owner tells her he might be interested in something else. And no, it's not her lovely singing voice, it's her beauty. I don't know exactly how you can buy someone's beauty, but he offers her $10,000 and the next thing you know, he's taking a plaster cast of her face. She has 4 months to pay back the 10,000 grand, plus 12% of course, but after her face has been stolen, she somehow comes out with her makeup and hair perfectly intact. How the hell does that work? You know, I'm thinking this guy might be a little crazy. I mean really crazy, because he's holding on to his wife's corpse. How did no one that comes into his shop not notice that smell? With her 10 grand, Sylvia does the only thing any 80s woman would do, have herself a fancy 80s montage. With her fancy new clothes, she arrives at the party uninvited, and everyone looks at her like they've never seen a woman wearing an expensive dress before. You literally have a room full of women wearing expensive clothing, yet she stands out for some reason? You know, it really doesn't get any more 80s than this. The fashion, the music, the copious amounts of cocaine, all that's missing is Patrick Bateman doing some crunches.
Well, I saw you and let's just say something more important came up.
Sounds like a cheap sexual innuendo to me.
I was gonna say something, but she sort of beat me to it. You know, it really didn't take her much to pull this guy away from his girl.
I'm Ronnie Price, as in everyone has theirs.
Sylvia plays a little hard to get, but it's not long before she has him right where she wants him. 4 months pass and Sylvia's living the dream. She's rich, pampered, and hasn't thought twice about that creepy pawn guy or the literal face loan she took out. But that 12% interest is about to come back to bite her in the cheekbones. Let's be real, if she'd rather watch her beauty fade than look at him, he's probably not bringing a whole lot to the table if you catch my drift. Lover boy's going away on business for a couple days, and Sylvia is so worried about her looks that she turns the lights off before he can see her. You know it's bad when you're more afraid of a lamp than your boyfriend finding out that you pawned your face. Sylvia goes to see a doctor about her aging face situation, and in the most passive-aggressive way possible, he basically accuses her of getting some work done. You know that classic doctor tone, "Have you had any procedures?" Translation, your face looks like it lost a fight with a microwave. The doctor starts rambling on about glands, hormones, and maybe a curse or two. When it finally clicks for Sylvia, oh my god, the pawn shop! I think she's finally come to her senses and realized she might have forgot to do something. Like, oh, I don't know, pay back the 10 grand she owes or lose her face forever? Minor detail, I know, but you know.
You didn't look at this too careful, did you? I told you the time limit was 4 months. 4 months from this date is the 4th. Today's the 5th.
So yeah, Sylvia may have missed the deadline by just a day. But hey, maybe she can still renegotiate, using her pimp-killing handgun, that is. The pawn shop owner's like, okay, Granny, I'll cut you a deal, but it's gonna cost you $100,000. Inflation really is a killer. Right then, a cop walks in, and the look on his face when he sees Sylvia, priceless. He reacts like he just saw the legend of the dog-faced woman.
Legend of the dog-faced woman. Oh, that's good.
Sylvia rushes back home, grabbing anything she can pawn, jewelry, clothes, maybe even the furniture. At the same time, she's smashing mirrors left and right because she hates what she sees. Talk about taking out your frustrations on yourself and, well, everything else. Then her boy toy walks in and he just stares. Like, what the hell is going on here and who the hell are you? By this point, she's so old and decrepit that he doesn't even recognize her anymore. Instead of, trying to talk it out, Sylvia pulls her gun and empties the entire magazine into him. Turns out love may be blind, but it's not bulletproof. Sylvia makes her way back to the pawn shop, smashing her way through the back door. Because surprise, it's closed. I guess she figured breaking and entering was worth the shot if it meant saving her face. She finds the plaster mold of her face sitting on a shelf right next to the shopkeeper's dead wife, who doesn't look so dead anymore. Looks like his creepy little beauty-stealing magic trick actually works. A bit unethical, sure, but hey, the results speak for themselves. The shopkeeper explains that he has to drain other women's beauty to keep his wife looking, not so corpsey. Sylvia begs him to reverse it. She shows him all the cash and jewelry she has, easily worth more than the $100,000 he asked for. He can take it all too, she just wants her beauty back. And the shopkeeper's like, sure, I can do that, but there's one teeny tiny problem. Then he pulls out a newspaper, and wouldn't you know it, Sylvia's mug is front page news, tied to the murder that happened literally minutes ago. Like damn, that's the fastest printing press in history. Did they have a reporter hiding in her closet?
The second she shows her face anywhere, it's a one-way trip to the liquor chute.
And I think we all know who'd like to flip the switch. So yeah, Sylvia's pretty much screwed. She grabs her creepy little face mold and stumbles out of the pawn shop, but not before getting hit with the ultimate insult. Everyone on the street looks at her like she's the ugliest thing they've ever seen. Like, oh no, it's the human raisin. Forget getting arrested, public disgust might be the real punishment here.
Why don't you watch where you going? You old, ugly, trifling bitch.
Only Sin Deep is based off the story of the same name, found in Haunt of Fear number 24. Published April 1954, the story was written by Otto Binder, legendary writer and co-creator of Supergirl, Crypto the Superdog, and Brainiac. I wonder what he'd think about his Supergirl being turned into a drunken mess. Artwork for the story was done by Ghastly Graham Ingalls, who also did the cover art as well. The cover art features a sentient blob monster who seems to have a thing for redheads. Don't we all? Lorna Vanson isn't your typical streetwalker. She's not in it to please, she's in it to pilfer. Her idea of a good time? Getting her gentleman callers drunk and walking off with their wallets. But hey, when you look as good as she does, crime doesn't just pay, it practically begs to be robbed. But Lorna was getting tired of rolling the same old deadbeats night after night. She wanted a bigger score, a richer sucker. Sure, she had the looks to reel in the big fish, but those looks were buried under bargain bin fashion. I mean, I wouldn't call that dress rags, but it's definitely been through a few hard nights if you catch my drift. So she takes a stolen watch to the local pawn shop hoping to cash in. But surprise, it's a worthless fake. Guess her last victim was as cheap as his cologne. Lorna figured her dreams were dashed until the pawn shop owner made her a proposition. And no, not that kind of proposition. Lorna might be desperate, but she's not that desperate. No, this guy wants to buy her beauty, not her body. And for it, he's offering $1,000, which in 1954 was a serious stack of green. Lorna jumps at the deal. I mean, in her mind, she's walking away with a boatload of cash, and all he's getting is a wax mold of her face. He hands her a pawn ticket in case she ever wants to buy her beauty back. But she's already halfway out the door like, yeah, old man, I've got some shopping to do. For the next few days, Lorna's living like royalty, buying new dresses, getting her hair done, the full makeover treatment. She finds herself at the fanciest club in town, and even the doorman, who's seen more curves than a mountain road, nearly drops dead at the sight of her because va-va-voom. Inside, every head turns, but Lorna's not here for barflies like Weirdo Charlie. Aww. She's got her sights set on Ronnie, bachelor, playboy, and walking cash machine. Of course, Lorna knows how to play the game. She gives him a good old slap right across the face, and wouldn't you know it, that just makes him want her even more. Fast forward 6 months, and after plenty of face sucking and champagne, Ronnie pops the question. Now that she's married, Lorna's living the high life. Mink coats, private servants, champagne for breakfast. Ronnie spoils her rotten, giving her everything she could have ever wanted, and Lorna gives him something back in return too. Mostly polite tolerance in exchange for access to his bank account. But one night, while admiring herself in the mirror, Lorna sees something more terrifying than a tax audit. Lines on her face! She's only 23, that kind of thing is supposed to happen to other people. Ugly people. At first she tells herself it's just the lighting or maybe she slept weird, but as the days go on, the lines don't go away. They multiply like cockroaches in a coffin. And for a woman who traded her beauty for everything, this is the beginning of a real horror show. Luckily for Lorna, Ronnie's heading out of town for a few days. Just enough time to sneak off to a doctor and figure out what the hell is going on with her rapidly crumbling reflection. And the diagnosis, well, it ain't pretty. Kinda like Lorna. The doc coldly explains that her face is aging faster than the rest of her body. Her skin is literally dying. He keeps shouting, "There's no cure for aging," like it's some kind of twisted mantra. Suddenly it hits her. The pawn ticket! She doesn't want to believe it, but it might be her only shot at reclaiming her youthful glow. Lorna storms back to the pawn shop demanding answers, and the old man's just like, "Oh yeah, I took your beauty, it's right over there." And sure enough, sitting on the counter is the wax mold of her once flawless face, now looking more like a lost relic than a lost love. She tries to pay the man back, but too late. The ticket said she had 1 year to reclaim her beauty, and she missed it all by one single day. Now the price has gone up. Way up. He'll give it back, sure, for $100,000, and that's 100 grand in 1954 money, which is probably more than the entire GDP of Canada, or at least enough to buy every beaver in it. Lorna rushes home, her face veiled like a horror movie bride, better scarred than stared at. She starts tearing through drawers, closets, jewelry boxes, anything she can pawn for a shot at her old self. But just then, surprise, Ronnie comes home early, and Lorna in her panic forgot to hide the one thing she really should have, her face. Ronnie walks in, sees this ghoulish figure ransacking the place, and thinks it's a break-in by the Phantom of the Opera's ex. He grabs her, trying to hold her still so he can call the cops. But Lorna, who never really loved Ronnie, just his money, does what any gold-digging ghoul would do. She grabs a brass statue and plays "Till Death Do Us Part" like she really means it. With Ronnie now resting in pieces, Lorna stumbles back to the pawn shop, her face still shrouded in mystery and murder. But it's closed, because of course it is, so she holes up in a cheap hotel, hoping the morning brings her a second chance at life, or at least a refund on her face. But when the sun rises, so does the horror. News of Ronnie's murder is already splashed across the front page, and wouldn't you know it, so is Lorna. Before she can even blink her sagging eyelids, a cop spots her and strolls over. "Excuse me, miss, mind showing me your face?" She hesitates, then slowly lifts the veil. The cop recoils, practically dry heaving on the sidewalk. What once turned heads now turns stomachs. That face isn't just aged, it's expired. Lorna had traded her beauty for a quick buck, and now all she's got left is one hell of a mugshot. Only Sin Deep is a pretty fun Tales from the Crypt episode that really feels 80s through and through. The musical choices and montage sequence always cracks me up. So cheesy, yet somehow totally awesome. The story itself is a blast. I like the idea of a super vain person selling their looks for riches, only to regret it fast when they realize, spoiler alert, you're not gonna be young forever. Now, casting Lea Thompson always felt a little off to me. Don't get me wrong, she's attractive, but I always saw her more as a girl next door type rather than a swoon-worthy seductress who turns every head in the room. She's actually really sweet in real life though. I won't get into the specifics, but she once did something really kind for a little guy I knew who was a huge Back to the Future fan, so she's earned my respect for life. Now this is probably just a coincidence, but Pretty Woman came out after this episode and the stories have some parallels. A lady of the evening meeting a rich guy and falling in love, except Pretty Woman is more of a straight up romance, while Only Sin Deep is more focused on a woman who, I ain't saying she a gold digger, but she ain't messing with no broke. Funny enough, Lea Thompson actually did audition for Pretty Woman, but lost the role because no one told her it was supposed to be a comedy. So she auditioned like it was some serious drama. I'd probably fire my agent after that blunder. You know, I've got to give it up to Howard Deutsch for casting his soon-to-be wife as a beautiful, gold-digging prostitute. Though the one thing Lea Thompson didn't enjoy was the brief love scene between her co-star Brett Cullen, who was a pretty close friend at the time. It's kinda weird how pretending to sleep with another man while your husband directs kinda makes you uncomfortable, but nearly sleeping with your future son and a duck doesn't? The episode sticks pretty close to the comic with only minor tweaks. Character names, the amount of money, the deadline from the pawn shop owner, and how the murder goes down. Mostly though, it's the same sleazy story. I do like this episode though. It's fun, straightforward, and exactly what you want from Tales from the Crypt. But what do you think? Let me know down in the comments your thoughts on Only Sin Deep. Anyways, that's all for today, kiddies. I hope you're having a ghoulish day, and remember, stay spooky.
Sometimes I think beauty is in the eye of the beheader. Other times I know it's only sin deep.
Let me get this straight. For 10 grand, you make a mold of my face?
If that's what you really want.
$10,000. Who are you?
What is happening to my face?
You didn't look at this too careful, did you?
I want it back! Give it back to me! I want my beauty back!
Only sin deep. A real romantic charmer. And my next spine-chilling tale from the crypt.
Warning, strong content. Parental discretion advised.